Have you ever felt like the world is against you? Like no matter how hard you try, every door seems to close, every path feels blocked? That feeling, it's familiar to everyone who's ever dared to dream. But here's the secret. Every great story begins at the edge of struggle. Imagine a young person sitting alone at a kitchen table, scribbling ideas on a worn-out notebook, while the world outside seems to move on without them. Every no they receive feels like a hammer on their confidence, but they keep writing, keep trying, keep believing. That persistence, quiet, unnoticed, unglamorous, is the spark that eventually lights up the world. Think about someone who was laughed at, doubted, or even rejected over and over. Most would give up, most would settle, but they don't. They keep moving, one small action at a time, fueled by something stronger than comfort, the unshakable belief that their dreams are worth the struggle. This is how ordinary people do extraordinary things. One failed experiment, one rejection letter, one setback at a time. They keep pushing forward, and slowly, those tiny steps accumulate until one day the world notices. Your journey might feel invisible right now, but every effort you make, every challenge you face and overcome, is quietly shaping a story the world will remember. Keep going. Your breakthrough is just around the corner. When life knocks you down, it's easy to believe you've reached the end of the road. But the truth is, every setback carries within it the seed of a comeback. History is filled with ordinary people who refused to quit, who turned pain into power and obstacles into stepping stones. Think of Thomas Edison. He failed over 1,000 times before inventing the light bulb. People laughed at him, doubted him, and called him a failure. But his response was simple. I didn't fail 1,000 times. I just found 1,000 ways that didn't work. And because he persevered, the world was forever changed. Or consider J.K. Rowling, who was rejected by multiple publishers before Harry Potter became a global phenomenon. Imagine if she had given up after the 10th rejection. Millions of readers would have been robbed of the magic her words created. And Oprah Winfrey, who came from poverty, faced countless hardships and was even told she didn't belong on television. Yet she rose above every obstacle to become one of the most influential voices in the world. These are not superheroes. They are proof that perseverance can turn struggle into success. Your journey may be tough, your path may feel impossible, but remember, the people who changed the world were the ones who kept moving when everything told them to stop. If they could push through their darkest moments, so can you. Your story is still being written. Make sure it's one worth telling. Every dream feels impossible, right up until the moment someone achieves it. And often, the only difference between the people who win and the people who quit is this: they kept going one step longer. Take Michael Jordan, for example. The greatest basketball player of all time was once cut from his high school basketball team. Can you imagine how easy it would have been to quit right there? But instead, he turned that rejection into fuel. He practiced harder, pushed past every doubt, and built a legacy that inspires millions today. Or look at Walt Disney. He was fired from a newspaper job because they said he lacked imagination. The same man who later created Mickey Mouse, Disneyland, and an empire of magic was once told he wasn't creative enough. If he had listened, none of it would exist today. And then there's Colonel Sanders, who started KFC at the age of 65. Before his success, he faced countless rejections. Over 1,000 people said no to his idea. But he only needed one yes. That one yes built a global brand. The lesson? You don't need to succeed on the first try, or even the 100th. You just need to keep showing up. Your perseverance is the bridge between where you are now and where you want to be. Sometimes the strongest victories come from people who started with nothing but a dream and the courage to keep moving. Look at Elon Musk. He was broke after investing everything into his companies. At one point, he had to borrow money just to pay rent. Most people would have walked away. But he kept building, kept risking. And today, his vision reshaped industries like space travel and electric cars. Or consider Nick Vujicic, born without arms or legs. Many thought his life would be filled with limitations. Instead, he became a motivational speaker who travels the world, inspiring millions to believe that no challenge is too great when you refuse to give up. And let's not forget Malala Yousafzai. Shot for simply wanting to go to school, she could have chosen silence out of fear. Instead, she stood taller than her circumstances, becoming the youngest Nobel Prize winner and a voice for education across the globe. These stories remind us, perseverance isn't about avoiding struggles. It's about facing them head-on and refusing to let them define you. The people who inspire us most aren't those who had it easy. They're the ones who turned hardship into hope and hope into action. Greatness is not born in comfort. It's forged in fire. Think about Oprah Winfrey. She grew up in poverty, faced rejection, and was even told she wasn't fit for television. But instead of letting those words crush her, she turned them into fuel. Today, she is one of the most influential voices in the world, proving that your past does not define your future. Then there's Colonel Harlan Sanders. At the age of 65, after countless failures and rejections, he took his fried chicken recipe and went door to door. Do you know how many times he was rejected? Over 1,000 times. Yet, he didn't quit. That same recipe built KFC, now a global brand. And let's remember Bethany Hamilton. At just 13 years old, she lost her arm in a shark attack while surfing. Most people would have given up their dream right there, but she refused. She trained harder, came back stronger, and went on to become a professional surfer, inspiring millions worldwide. These examples show us that success doesn't belong to the lucky. It belongs to the relentless. The ones who get knocked down but rise again, stronger every single time. Every obstacle you face can either break you or build you. It's a choice. Look at Michael Jordan. In high school, he was actually cut from his basketball team. Most teenagers would have given up, but instead, he turned that rejection into motivation. He practiced harder than ever, and today he is remembered as one of the greatest athletes of all time. Think of J.K. Rowling. Before Harry Potter became a global phenomenon, she was a single mother living on welfare, rejected by multiple publishers. But she didn't stop. She kept writing, kept believing, until one publisher finally said yes, and the rest is history. And take Walt Disney. Early in his career, he was fired from a newspaper job because they said he lacked imagination. Imagine that. The same man went on to create one of the most magical brands in the world, bringing joy to generations. These stories remind us, failure isn't the end. It's simply feedback, a stepping stone, a test of how much you truly want your dream. Success doesn't come from avoiding failure. It comes from using it as fuel to push forward, no matter how many times you fall. True strength is revealed, not when life is easy, but when life feels impossible, and you keep moving anyway. Take Thomas Edison. He failed thousands of times before creating the light bulb. People laughed at him, doubted him, but he saw every failure as one step closer to success. His perseverance didn't just light up a room, it lit up the entire world. Or think of Nelson Mandela. He spent 27 years in prison for fighting against injustice, 27 years of his life locked away. Yet, when he was finally released, he didn't let bitterness win. He rose with forgiveness, unity, and determination, becoming one of the most respected leaders in history. Then there's Steve Jobs. He was fired from his own company, the very company he built. Most people would have been crushed, but Jobs came back, reinvented Apple, and changed the way we live with technology forever. These stories prove a powerful truth. Your circumstances do not decide your destiny. Your persistence does. The road to success is never straight, never easy, and never without pain. But if you hold on, if you refuse to quit, Your story can inspire the world just like theirs. Life has a way of testing those who dare to dream big, but the ones who push through those tests, no matter how heavy the burden, are the ones who leave a mark on the world. Consider Abraham Lincoln. Before becoming one of the greatest presidents in history, he faced countless defeats. He lost multiple elections, failed in business, and even battled depression. Yet he never quit. His perseverance eventually led him to lead a nation through its darkest time. Look at Helen Keller. Born both blind and deaf, she was told she would never communicate, never truly live a full life. But with persistence and courage, she became an author, speaker, and a global symbol of hope, proving that no limitation is too great when the will is strong. And think of Cristiano Ronaldo. He grew up poor, often playing soccer with no proper shoes, no resources, just passion and determination. Through relentless hard work and sacrifice, he rose to become one of the greatest footballers the world has ever seen. These stories remind us that success is not reserved for the most talented, the wealthiest, or the luckiest. It's reserved for those who refuse to give up when everything in them wants to stop. The lesson is clear. Your story is still being written, and if you keep going, one day people will look at your journey as proof that perseverance always wins. Greatness doesn't come from comfort. It comes from pushing forward when your legs are heavy, when your heart is tired, and when the world tells you it's impossible. Think about Malala Yousafzai. She faced violence simply for wanting an education, something many take for granted. But instead of letting fear silence her, she turned her pain into power, becoming a global voice for education and hope. Or think of Oprah Winfrey. She grew up in poverty, endured countless hardships, and was told many times that she wasn't good enough. But she turned every setback into fuel, every rejection into redirection, and built herself into one of the most influential women in the world. These are not just stories from history. They are reminders that perseverance is timeless. It's the same power available to you right now. Here's the truth. The difference between failure and success often comes down to a single choice. Do you keep moving when it's hard, or do you stop? Because if you keep moving step by step, struggle by struggle, one day you'll look back and realize your scars were simply the map that led you to success. Imagine a young girl in a small town, forbidden from going to school, facing threats simply for wanting an education. Most would have hidden, afraid of the world around them. But she refused to be silenced. That girl is Malala Yousafzai. Shot for standing up for her dreams, she not only survived, but went on to become a global voice for education, inspiring millions to fight for what they believe in. Think of Elon Musk, who poured every last cent into his companies, sleeping on floors and risking bankruptcy. Every setback, every criticism could have made him quit. But he kept innovating, kept working, and today, his companies, Tesla, SpaceX, are changing the world. His perseverance proves that vision backed by relentless effort can overcome almost any obstacle. Then there's Nick Vujicic, born without arms or legs. Life could have been limited for him, but he refused to accept those limits. Today, he travels the world as a motivational speaker, showing millions that no challenge is too great when you refuse to give up. Helen Keller's story is another example. Deaf and blind from a young age, she could have been defined by her disabilities. Instead, she became an author, activist, and inspiration worldwide, proving that adversity can become your greatest teacher. And finally, think of Oprah Winfrey. Raised in poverty, facing abuse, and told countless times she wouldn't succeed, she transformed every setback into a stepping stone. Today, she is one of the most influential women in the world, showing that your past does not define your future. It's your persistence that does. The message is clear. Setbacks, failures, and challenges are not the end. They are the proving ground for your strength. Every step forward, no matter how small, brings you closer to your breakthrough. There was a young man from a small village who dreamed of flying, but no one believed him. He worked as a mechanic during the day and studied aeronautics by night. After countless failures with experiments and prototypes, he finally succeeded. That man was the Wright brothers, whose perseverance gave the world the first successful airplane. Then there's Soichiro Honda. Before creating the Honda Motor Company, he faced repeated failures in engineering jobs and was rejected by Toyota. But he didn't stop. He started his own company, experimenting tirelessly, and today, Honda is a global brand recognized for innovation and quality. Consider Vera Wang, who initially failed as a competitive figure skater and then as a journalist before discovering her true passion for fashion. Despite multiple setbacks, she pursued her dream relentlessly, becoming one of the most celebrated fashion designers in the world. Another inspiring story is that of Sylvester Stallone. He was a struggling actor, broke and rejected by every studio he approached. Even when he wrote Rocky, studios wanted to buy the script, but not him as the lead. Stallone refused to compromise, and his perseverance made Rocky a cinematic legend. Finally, think of James Dyson. He created over 5,000 prototypes before inventing his first successful vacuum cleaner. People laughed at him, told him it wouldn't work, but he never quit. Today, Dyson products are sold worldwide, proving that persistence eventually pays off. These stories show that perseverance doesn't follow a single path. It comes in many forms: innovation, courage, stubbornness, and belief in oneself. Whatever your dream is, if you refuse to quit, you can create something extraordinary. There was a boy from a poor family who loved computers. He didn't have access to proper equipment, but he spent hours at libraries teaching himself programming. That boy? Bill Gates. He dropped out of college to pursue his passion, faced countless early failures, and eventually built Microsoft into a global powerhouse. Think of Maya Angelou. She faced immense hardships growing up, including poverty, discrimination, and trauma. Yet she didn't allow her circumstances to define her. Through perseverance, she became a world-renowned poet, author, and activist whose words continue to inspire millions. Consider Jeff Bezos. When he founded Amazon, people thought an online bookstore would fail. He faced skepticism, logistical nightmares, and near bankruptcy. But he persisted, innovated relentlessly, and today, Amazon is a global empire. Then there's Sylva Earle, a marine biologist who faced gender bias in a male-dominated field. She pushed forward, leading groundbreaking ocean explorations and raising awareness about ocean conservation worldwide. Her persistence changed science and inspired generations of explorers. And look at Stephen King. His first novel, Carrie, was rejected 30 times. Discouraged, he even threw the manuscript in the trash. But his wife encouraged him to keep trying. He did. And today, he is one of the most prolific and celebrated authors in history. No matter where you start, no matter how many times life knocks you down, there is always a way forward. The people we admire, the Edisons, the Rolands, the Mandelas, the Malalas, they all faced rejection, failure, and impossible odds. Yet they refused to quit. They turned obstacles into opportunities, setbacks into lessons, and doubt into determination. Your journey may be challenging, and the road may feel long, but every small step, every act of persistence moves you closer to your dream. Remember this: success isn't about luck, talent, or perfect timing. It's about the courage to keep going when everyone else would stop. So rise, push, and persevere. Your story is waiting to inspire the world, just like the stories you've heard today. Keep moving, keep believing, keep going. Your breakthrough is closer than you think.